Welcome back to another episode of Nerding Out, Geeking Out. I'm Luke.
I'm Gratian.
And I'm James.
So, last weekend, when we're filming this, we went up to Sherwood Forest for my stag-do, where I was constantly told that we were not going to a particular place as we drove past Nottingham. And then we have a lovely evening, hot tubs, alcohol, relaxing. And then someone spills the beans. And we go to Warhammer World, and it was the best day ever, and I'm so happy, and it's amazing, and it's great. Yes, I enjoyed it a lot. I was a big kid. I spent too much money. Much time was had. That was good. That's all. That's all for this episode.
I'm trying to think how many hours we spent there. We got there for just before 11. Oh, was it just before 10? No, it was just before 11.
Yeah, we were
and then
staggered.
we left at about 8.
They were closing.
8:30. Yeah.
They were literally closing, and we decided that point was when we would leave. But yeah, so when we were there, what happened was basically so that the big reveal of what was going on for the day wasn't completely spoiled. Was it you guys who went early?
That would have been John.
Our guest before.
Yes, John, our previous guest, and Giorgio and Cam, who were running the sessions on the table, and there was 3 tables booked.
Yep.
With one mega game between them. We had basically it's a version called Hero Mode, which I believe is a fan-based rule set where everyone on the stag-do basically controlled a miniature. The miniatures of which John and a mate of his had basically designed, built, hand-painted, etc. For us. So we all had very, very bespoke miniatures.
Very much so, yes.
Yeah.
So my one is on the table at the moment. It's based on Rebut Gunnerman, but all of the 3D ultramarine insignia and all of the detail has been by hand filed down, and then things like the word stag across the ankle has been painted on by hand. It's our own custom chapter color scheme as well, which was pretty cool. And on the front there's a little ghost trap with a ghost coming out, because of course I also do Ghostbusters stuff. He also put on little sideburns, which are sculpted by hand, and a green power sword like Luke Skywalker's lightsaber. So it was very good. Your one,
a power pack.
and the power pack is also painted like the Proton pack from Ghostbusters. And there's also a little Amy up here, my fiance, who was one of our other guests the other week. And get on to why there was a little Amy in a bit, but which character were you playing?
Oh, God.
There we go. Yes, I remember stuff.
Trying to remember the name now. So when John was asking us, for background info for kind of creating these characters, he basically asked us to give a brief description of kind of roughly what we wanted. I know one of the guys was a big football fan. He wanted someone related to Man United football, and he wanted to have football-esque characters. So he was given 2 characters effectively, but it was really one. It was Jack's orc with an exploding.
It's a very good deflection.
An exploding meatball. That was the
squig.
football. Yeah, the squig, which I thought was great. So in my case, I requested for a skullduggery, pleasant-esque character.
There's your name.
Luke's very, very thankfully.
After we returned, I got given the roster and all the info you guys gave.
Oh,
so I can use it.
All the info?
Yes, so I can use it in the
hilarious.
video that I'm also doing for Crazy Maker Nerd.
Mine was Sergeant Tully Vince Clotho. I never actually got the full reasoning behind that name.
Sergeant Tully
Vince Clotho. Because I did ask John as well, at the end of the session. He was like, it's something related to skullduggery. I'm like, interesting. I don't recognize it. But ultimately, I wanted for anybody who knows the book series, Skullduggery Pleasant, he's kind of a magic user, but also heavily relies on a revolver, but also a sword. in some of the later books, and that was the kind of character I wanted to use. I wanted a little bit of melee, a little bit of gunslinging, effectively, but also magic, and that's exactly what John built. John built a psyker build, so kind of magic user. Within the Warhammer world, along with a with a gun, and I'm trying to remember what. Oh yeah, for the magic I had arcane fire, which was a little bit broken because it could not miss, but that's fine.
We needed it at the time.
It came in clutch. But yeah, I was going to say I do have pictures that I think Luke will show up on screen.
Yeah, hopefully when I get them from John. There's also a picture of your miniature before conversion. So I believe it was an Inquisitor with, from Death Watch with a jump pack. Inquisitor Space Marine with jump pack. Inquisition Space Marine with jump pack even. But yes, so that's good. And I love this. Most of the descriptions on all of these just says wacky, unconventional, and downright weird. Mm-hmm. And that appears to be the majority of them.
Yep.
That's our quiz Mr. Round over there. So James, do you remember your name?
No.
There we go. Sergeant Gavile Maurice. Your inspiration given.
Mine was I just finished watching Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Is it 3 or 2?
2.
With Shadow, and it made me want to that'll be my character. So I wanted speed and a big gun.
Speed and big gun.
So instead I got a huge gun. It's the best way to describe what it was.
Yeah, the description we've got written here is long range sniper stylish railgun ? Can you incorporate Shadow the Hedgehog from a Sonic franchise? I don't know why. Mixed with Iron Man.
Oh yes.
Nice. Nice.
So yours was also a
Death Watch.
A Death Watch guy. Actually, that's one that I've got that I've converted as well. The original gun is a normal size, and then your gun was taller than the miniature.
Yes.
In the end, which was interesting.
As everyone
choice.
kept referring to it as a 5G antenna.
Yes.
Although, in saying that, in typical sniper fashion, have you seen a fully spec'd out Barrett 50 cal?
They're very long.
They are generally taller than they're human beings, so it kind of makes sense.
So I also go through the other ones. So we had Sam was Nikut, who was a Vietnam veteran, like war photographer who's seen far too much shit. The kind of guy who goes into battle whilst listening to Creedence Clearwater's Fortune Son.
Yes, because he just kept running into the middle of the fights, right? He got the Charger award.
Yes, because
he would just fully sprint in there, fully send it. It was great.
And he was an orc character.
Yeah,
we'll tell you why there was an orc character in a bit. But this one is it looks like an orc character with a knife in its mouth and then 2 big knives. I can't remember what it ended up with, but that was the beginning. And the data sheets I think they were based on. Yes. Model-based character sheets. So that one was a boss skin rot. We also had Giorgio. He was Captain Amadeus Varvaras. Roman theme. Sword and shield. Yes, I know there are guns, but swords are cool. So he was another Death Watch, but they mostly Death Watch, if not all, by some chance.
Generally, quite a lot of them were Death Watch. I think it's because Death Watch just gives you the biggest variety of models.
Jack F, Boom No, and Dez, the Squig. That was the Man United one.
Yeah, that was the football one.
The Squig got kicked straight away, exploded, and then he had basically a giant garlic bread for the rest of the rounds. Yep. Which he was using to melee people to death.
But because he's an orc, and as we've covered in previous Warhammer...
He believes it works.
He believes it works, and therefore it works.
Chris H., Chief Librarian Zaf Luke Kiffard, based on Jean-Luc Picard from Star Trek. Cyberpunky Techno Mage, Magic Force User, like with arms behind the back, calm yet pompous demure, fancy robe-like attire, Kiff from Futurama kind of attitude. He attempts to keep stupid people alive. Catchphrase, Sigh.
The only person to opt to play a support character, and boy,
Yeah.
did we need it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we did.
Because like nobody else thought about playing support, and it was just as thankfully Chris and our game chose to.
And he was a librarian in Phobos Armor. James S. Agent Gilliman. Homelander is my guy.
Yeah.
That was the description. That was the whole description. And the thing, their head goes pop as the description of the attack. He was based on Everson Assassin. And the miniature was another Death Watch. It was Death Watch with a large staff. We also had Cam was Ancient Nike Broland, based on Boromir. Sword and Shield. And that was basically a Space Marine in Terminator armor. There's a Cloaky Boy next, so Chris L. Sergeant Bradley Dacker, based on Captain Rex from Star Wars. Sneaky was a description.
I don't think it was very sneaky.
No.
Probably not. You normally start with that and then end up not doing it. Cypher was the character sheet used. He had 2 pistols, and it was a Cloak Boy. I think it was the Cloak Boy. Must be a Psyker Space Marine from Death Watch again. Next one, Mark. Captain Rurt Benolds, based on Burt Reynolds. Bandy from Smokey and the Bandit. His description was zooming around to kick them in the face.
I mean, he did.
I mean, he did.
He had a bike.
Did you see his kill count?
Yeah, his kill
Yeah.
count was ridiculous.
Yeah, he was just going to try and beat me. I lost count, so I dropped in and just blew everyone up. Chaplain on a bike, and it was the Death Watch on a bike model. Then we've got Jack N, name redacted. Malkador the Sigalite was the base, and their head goes pop as the weapon. It was another Space Marine Psyker looking model from Death Watch. Then the last one was Ollie, who was a veteran Gunmore Mihorn. Is that right you say it? Veteran Gunmore Mihan. There we go. Based on Vinnie Jones. Big guns description.
That's great.
And that was, yes, it was indeed a big gun. We had a couple of other people that didn't pop along, unfortunately. There was Kaal, who was another orc, who was, you had a big underpants on, wasn't it, with hearts all over on the
Yes,
final model.
yeah,
That was
yeah.
quite funny.
He was wearing his PJs almost.
Which is based on Carl from Dungeon Crawler books. And we also had a Captain Jack Sparrow based orc called Captain Hackbird. Who's unconventional and downright weird. So there you go. And it was an orc just by the Space Marine. So, why were there orcs disguised as Space Marines, chaps? Do you remember? The
Oh,
spiel?
fuck no.
Okay.
We were there to play the game and have a good time.
Yeah. Basically, we all ground down and snorted warp dust.
Yep.
So we were basically high on LSD
Cool.
and didn't realise that there was orcs in our ranks.
Right.
Yeah. So that's the basic of that. And now we'll go into how the game was split. So we had approximately, I think it's 4 to 5 per table. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
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 So we had 3 tables, 4 to 5. We had 3 essential battles going on. The first one was a Great Demon was spotted holding a warp key inside a castle thing.
Was this one that was happening?
It was on the sandy base with the more traditional looking castle.
The one with the big skulls.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
one.
yeah.
So basically it was hold down command posts or command points, taking on hordes of enemies.
It was quite an open map. It was
Very open.
very open. I mean,
Yeah.
like big stronghold in the middle, but quite open, quite tough. I thought.
Yeah, there
From
was
looking at it, yeah.
lots and lots of hordes coming at you. It was fine when the first round happened and you had sword boys attacking you and you all have guns, so you just don't go near them and then you shoot them.
Yes,
So that was easy. It's then when the bigger stuff came out and the stuff with ranged weapons, it was more difficult.
it becomes a bit tough. Yeah,
Because then everyone had to get in close and actually use their melee combat.
yeah.
So the second one was you guys. You
Mhm.
were inside what looked like it's like a hive city style.
It looked
It-
like you.
It was miners. It was there was a name to it.
Yeah, it was like a minor complex
Yeah.
or something.
It looked like what you would play in Dark Tide.
Yeah,
Yes.
lots and lots of tiers
Yeah.
of
Lots of tiers,
stuff.
and you couldn't fall off any of the ledges because it was just a sea of oil
Yeah.
or something. It looked like it.
So on that one, the warp portals directly to the warp. All the chaos was coming through it.
Yep.
And you guys had to
Bunch of
basically
demons.
defend against the demons. And did you have command posts as well? You had to hold.
Yes,
Yeah.
but we had command points, control points that we could hold, but it was what every round.
Every round they changed.
Yes.
Well, it depended on the dice roll. The first round was how many you could hold,
Okay.
and then it was the second round was only one of them was
Active.
you had to hold, and then the final round was all of them again.
Yeah.
Very nice.
And the third round was another point, and then it was all of them.
So I'm assuming you had a mix, and you had psychers and you had long sniper and you had melee.
Yes.
We had quite a good range of weaponry.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was an eclectic mix, but it was kind of needed because we had a very mixed bag of enemies to deal with.
Yeah, you had hounds, didn't you?
We had hounds, then we had melee boys, then we had the big
Well, we had a prince.
demon princes, and then we had the
And-
big bloodthirsters
Yeah.
as well.
Mm.
It was quite a mixture.
Because I only dropped into that match right at the end.
Yeah,
Just
well,
went, right, I'm going to kill this guy. Cool,
it was,
done.
It was,
Nice.
it was right, right at the end when the two extra bloodthirsters turned up. Because basically, for our game at the beginning, the first two rounds, we genuinely did nothing. Because our rolls, I mean, it was luck of the dice, right? Luck of the
Yeah.
dice every time. And we were rolling shit.
Right, yes.
And then we suddenly just picked it up.
Yeah, it was the moment when John came in. It was like, oh yeah, you should have dealt with these guys like a round ago. We're like, ah, shit. And he was like, this is what's tough coming up.
Yeah.
We're like, are you trying to kill us?
And he went, yes.
Yes.
Nice.
But we did. I think we played it quite tactically.
We did.
We stayed within a certain distance of each other because
Of Chris's ability.
Chris's ability was basically he could save us
Yeah.
once around.
The healer.
Yeah.
The healer, yeah, no, it was
And,
very useful.
Yeah, and we some people cleared the horde. I just kept getting
The big guys.
hitting the the prince at the start. I missed the first shots, but then I rolled like really well for the
Yep.
like 3 rounds. Very, very lucky. It was needed.
Yeah.
If
very
not, I
much.
would have died within 0.2 seconds.
Yes. It got dicey.
Yeah. Literally.
Literally, yeah.
Literally
intended.
dicey.
Yeah.
Dicey dice. And then the third battlefield was...
That was the big pyramid-looking one, wasn't it?
Yeah, there was a pyramid in the centre where Governess Amy Darla was in the top of the pyramid. And I had to go and save her.
Which I believe...
It didn't do...
Yes.
No, that was okay because we won it
Uh-huh.
on command points.
Uh-huh.
So there was a Sisters of Battle basically that had gone haywire against all of us, and there was just hordes of Sisters of Battle coming at us. But we basically won that round on once again holding down post. When I dropped in because I was in the other castle map, and I just dropped in. I dropped in right next to Manu Jack character, and he was
With the
next to a tank,
Yeah.
and I was just like, slash, tank's dead, sweet, done.
Well, he'd kicked the squig at the tank, and it had done some damage, but not much.
Yeah.
So needed Luke Gilliman over here
Yes.
to kind of hop in.
Chapter Master Lucas Colas.
Coolest.
So he is. Yes, I had a ranged weapon with a rapid fire option, a hand of Dominion melee combat, and the Emperor's sword. So yes, basically it was very easy to kill stuff.
Yes, yes.
I had a lot of wounds. I had 10, and I only got through 5. So
I think
'tis but a scratch.
I managed to remain unscathed. I think so. So did you. Which was surprising. You came close.
Yeah,
multiple times.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
There's
it was when the demon was literally here.
Yes, this is a great bit where, well, I suppose in games of Warhammer, which I didn't know about, I didn't know like how they played the whole range aspect. I didn't realize it's based on how many inches across the playing board is how much range you get. Yeah, James had 48 inches of range.
Yeah, it's bigger than the board.
It was bigger than.
Just
So-
you always hit as long as you get the right dice.
Well,
After that rubbish
Yes,
first one,
he hit
I
everything.
constantly.
Yeah.
But that first one was...
Basically, there was a position. If he was central on the map, he could theoretically hit people on the other maps either side of us. That's how ridiculous the range was. But yes, in the end, you finally killed the big guy when he was stood right next to you.
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
which was quite entertaining. But yes, I do have a funny picture of that.
Oh, that's good.
Of that, just tiny little James, and then just massive fuck off blood prints.
Nice.
And I just went, well, thank you, guys. It's been an honour.
Yeah, that's true.
Many times.
It was close. It was close. But it was all right.
So when we arrived, we had there were miniatures, we had the tables. That was the game. We also got given a booklet, like the one in front there, with a wax seal.
Yep.
I've got the spare one here, so I can read from it if needed. And then afterwards, firstly, I was given a purity seal with a magnet in it, with everybody's names in it that they've written in, which is really sweet, to remember everyone by from the stag-do. And then I awarded a number of various awards as well, using wax seals at the end when we got back to the cottages.
I've got a couple.
Which ones did you get?
One of them was for charging. The other one was a hate monger. I can't remember why. I can't remember the reasoning for that.
Probably because you were just slashing them up.
Probably.
What about you?
I got the big gun one.
You got
Yes,
the big gun
big
one.
gun one.
Yeah.
I got another one, but I can't remember.
Might have been range.
I think one was range, but there was another one which was like close to death.
Oh yes,
One.
yes.
Yeah.
He was close to death multiple times.
Didn't actually have any wounds. I had all.
No,
I didn't lose
no.
anything. I was so close to just completely dying each time.
he was. It was just the sheer number of rolls you had to make for like.
Yeah.
Roll for wounds, and like he'd roll sixes and be like, you're fine, you're okay, you've
Nice.
saved, and you're just like, this is just nerve wracking. Just blood pressure was just at peak the
Excellent.
entire time.
I actually awarded myself the horny gel one. Because I managed to set off an entire conversation about how some of the miniatures in the old days used to be a lot less appropriate, shall we say. I was like, yeah, you see these miniatures? Yeah, didn't used to have bras on. They just used to be naked.
As you do.
Yeah, it
Is that
spiraled.
when we were going around the?
No, that was when we were playing.
I was at.
Yeah, because we had those demons coming at us. I was like, see those? You used to have tits. Oh,
Nope.
shit. That's how excited I got too. Yeah, so that was really good fun. I really enjoyed it. And what did you guys think of playing your first kind of game of 40k?
Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I was very confused at the start. I had played a game a long time ago,
Yeah,
but nothing.
a past life.
It felt like a past life, like pre-COVID,
Yes,
pre the lockdowns.
before the dark times.
Yeah, I thought it was good. It was interesting to see how our custom characters are quite liked.
Yeah.
I was very much distracted by everybody else in the hall.
They're enthusiastic.
Enthusiastic is putting it nicely.
Lightly, very lightly. Yeah. There was genuine anger.
Yeah.
And when like an army was lost or like a knight was lost.
Yeah.
There was some shouting.
Just to reiterate, whilst we've got these 3 tables booked,
Oh yeah,
With the most ridiculous game possible.
oh, most ridiculous game
I was
behind
not
us.
caring at all, having a great time.
Yeah, behind us was an entire tournament
Yeah.
going on.
Was it for places in the world?
It was
Championship?
places in the World Finals, the
Oh, was it the
international
World
World Finals.
That was new to me that there was world finals.
Yeah. So like the winner and the best player, so it's 2 people, would be given what's it called, free flight, free tickets, accommodation, everything, all paid for, to go to the US and take part in the finals with their armies.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was intense.
It looked intense. There was one group entirely in like duck shirts, which was quite funny.
Yes, that was
And
funny.
then there was the guy that we chatted to in the car park who has a shark hat. If you hear this, whoop, I hope you did well. He was running Necrons. I'd say they're all very enthusiastic and they enjoy what they do. And it's their passion and their hobby.
Definitely.
So I can see why they do it. They're getting like as enthralled as I've seen football supporters getting enthralled, basically.
Oh yeah.
Or F1 supporters whilst watching it on the telly, shouting at the screen. I don't know who I'm talking about there, but you know.
Well, I know it's not us, but
No,
because
it can't be
I
us.
know you have as well.
Because we know you're a big fan.
I just get
Yeah.
annoyed when they don't crash, get bored.
He does shout at the TV though. He's a big fan.
But there were some of the models there were
Beautiful.
yeah.
Oh yeah. No, some of the
Um,
paintings were crazy.
Worth saying, John got a compliment for his painting
Yes.
skills.
Did
From the workshop, Games Workshop employee, because we had him come over to try and
Oh
take
yeah,
apart.
my model may have fallen, and the antenna / gun broke off,
Yes.
Oh.
and it hid itself very well, but it
Yep.
found its way into basically there was some rock, and then some pipe had laid over it. It had gone in between the
Yeah.
pipe and the rock.
So
Nice.
needed a delicate tweezer job.
Yes.
Basically.
Wow.
But yeah, the Games Workshop employee comes over. He's more than happy to help out. Grabs it, and then whilst he's doing that, he's like, "Oh my god, these paintings are amazing. These are really good." And we're like, "John, you've been complimented by the company man."
There you go.
That's
He
amazing.
does have an art degree.
Yeah.
It's just from an not credited anymore university. Yeah. That was a sad moment for him. So yeah, what was your favourite bit? Is what I want to know. Because it was quite a different game to normal 40k, which I kind of actually preferred because it felt more social.
Yes, I was going to say, compared to when I was like walking around the other games, where it was like one person, their army, kind of fighting off against this other person. I don't know, there wasn't really much of the social aspect. At least here it was like all of us were having fun. We're like, shit, we're all going to die.
Yeah.
How are we going to stop this?
And it felt like a online game when we're all playing together, because we all had individual characters and we were all communicating like, you go here, should I go here?
It felt like Dark Tide.
Yeah, it did.
It felt like Dark Tide. It
Dark
felt like Dark
Tide.
Tide when us were playing against the twins.
It was real life Dark Tide.
Yes.
It's almost like the game was based on it.
Yeah.
Nah. I did like the fact that one of the what was it, the giant, the bigger models.
Mhm.
One of the rules was if the base can't fit in this area,
That was funny.
it means it can't move there.
Nice.
And because this map was just lots of gantries and walkways,
I just placed myself right.
there was
in the
just
middle.
very few locations this big bloodthirsty could land. And James was like, "Are you?" John's like, "James, are you gonna move?" No. Why? I'm standing right here, so that fucking can't land. Cool. Right.
Nice.
You just have this big bloodthirster, which like all of us are like, in real life, if this was the case, bloodthirster would have landed on top of James, crushed him.
Yes.
But because of the rules,
Yeah.
the poor fucker couldn't. It was
That was a
hilarious.
very, very narrow map.
Oh, it was a very narrow
And those
map.
were very big models.
Oh yeah, huge models, which is why we just kept fighting hordes. And it was quite funny because I saw that John had snuck in like some custom enemies into the hordes. And
We needed to
There was a
capture.
side-eye.
we
there
needed
there
to
was an evil Psyduck. It was the most entertaining thing ever. Sadly, Psyduck did die.
I
may
tried.
have
We
killed
tried
him.
to capture it so we could have it alive, but unfortunately, Pokemon isn't in that universe. So.
No.
No.
Demon.
Although I will say a lot of people did comment on it.
Yeah.
Because you had lots of other people who were in between games kind of popping around just to have a
Yeah.
look. And they're like, is that a Psyduck? We're like, yeah. Yes.
And they all just went,
Yeah. They appreciated it. Considering it was my first game of anything close to Warhammer, same to you, very confused at the beginning. There's so many roles, compared to something like D&D, which is kind of make this roll, add this modifier, see what you can. It was a large number of roles, which took me a while.
I think the biggest learning curve is
Yeah.
understanding what the data sheet means.
Yes.
Because it's all just numbers with acronyms. I really wish it wasn't acronyms on the standard sheets, because I don't remember what half of them are. Or even if it had a little box underneath saying, "Oh, this minus this." Yeah, you can have that one. Thank
you.
Yeah, you got MTSV W LD OC. Okay,
Yes.
W, most obvious one, wounds.
M
Yeah.
is movement. T is toughness.
Yes, that's the one I still don't get. So
No.
That's-
So
they could just write the word.
there's not enough space in there.
no.
Yeah, 'cause all this blank top
Yeah,
bit
yeah,
that
there's
they
not
just
enough
can't
space.
use apparently.
Nah.
So yeah, this was only my second game of Warhammer Like.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
I
That's
have
crazy.
played one game with John here on this table, proper 40k. It was meant to be a 2-hour game, but it lasted 5.5 hours because I was learning it. But we also had, there was a tabletop that would push on top of this one, which expanded to the full size of a Warhammer table. So you had about that much, about 6 inches around the edge. So you basically one stood there, and one just about squeezed in the corner.
Nice.
So
And
yeah,
that was it.
Just take on a full battle.
that was why when we were chatting about doing the table in the garage, I was like, oh, I could actually make this big enough now.
Oh,
It'd be
yeah.
nice.
Yeah. It was also helpful that we had Chris on our team who'd played it before. Chris Lane.
Yeah.
So that was useful.
Yeah, because he last played 7th edition, I think.
And I think the other two were relying on John and Cam, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
But
Me
yeah,
included.
no, it was after the first couple of rounds.
Yeah.
It was annoying. I was only starting to really get it
Yeah.
towards the end, but no, it was fun.
And now there'll be a big enough gap. Next time you'll have no clue again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
That's what normally
sounds
happens
about
with
right
it for me.
But I think I played enough of it and witnessed enough of the tournament to be pretty sure that I wouldn't enjoy
The
normal.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't get me wrong, love the video games. The story, the lore, very interesting.
That's because you're a law goblin.
Game, well, it's just more. I just want to know what's going to happen. But the actual game itself,
I think when it's one massive army that you command versus another one, it kind of loses for how we play games.
Yeah.
The game aspect. of
Yeah.
it.
it's
I can see why people enjoy it because it's a big army you control.
oh
it.
yeah,
And especially on some of those the boards that they had, which were quite open spans areas where
Yeah.
you could just
Yeah, it's just
move to.
They
tanks
had
and
scatter
knights
terrain
and crazy. Yeah.
instead of built on terrain.
Yeah.
Oh, and huge amount of respect to the painting skill. Jesus,
That's the bit I do.
yeah. Respect that load, but yeah, no, just
The people who paint it and play is. Some of them were very, very good.
oh god,
Yes. The Imperial Knight that was on one of the tables with the LEDs inside
Yes.
the eyes.
Yeah.
That was cool.
That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
So other than the game, we also went to the bar, the newly refurbished
Bugman's.
Bugman's Bar,
2 days before we went
Yeah.
to refurbished.
and how freaking sweet was that?
it was.
Oh, it was
very
dope.
good.
It was
Yeah.
dope.
So the new layout is it's done out like a tavern. The ceiling has fake braziers,
Yeah.
which is quite funny. It's like braziers pointing upwards and then
The spotlights facing down. Yeah.
embedded into it. There was a big fireplace. shields from all the different Warhammer Fantasy fractions all over the walls. One wall had a load of artwork in frames. There was a fun shield with an orc's head with its tongue sticking out. In there, they now sell Warhammer-based alcohol in bottles that you can buy to take home.
Blood for the blood gods.
Yeah,
that was like a strawberry or cranberry based.
Yeah, that was
vodka.
pretty cool.
That was pretty cool. Yeah.
And then they have drinks on tap. One of them was Bolt Gun, and the other one was it Storm Host or Stormcast?
I think Stormcast.
Stormcast Ale. Of course, based on Stormcast Eternals from Age of Sigmar.
There's one which was like a really, really dark, like thick rum liqueur.
Yeah.
And I bought one, and it was I can't remember the machinist faction's names, but their oil.
Mechanicum oil.
Yeah, mechanical oil.
Okay,
And I was like, I respect that. That's actually quite good.
Yeah.
A lot of thought went into it.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, all of the pumps also had like fake brass carvings of each of the individual characters as well, which is really cool. So yeah, that was an experience itself, and pleasantly surprised by the food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was.
Not bad.
I would say
Not
it
bad
was
at all.
like it was above Weatherspoons, maybe near Revo level on the food.
Lounge level, yeah.
Yeah, the lounges. So, food was good. It was the expected price, I think. So it was like little bit more than you'd expect in a normal pub.
Yep.
But not extortionate.
No.
Yeah. It was fair.
Yeah.
You don't. To be fair, you don't go there for.
I mean, if I was in, if I was living up in Nottingham, I think I'd be going there for nights out.
You would live
Start off at Warhammer World, walk into town.
I mean, yeah, no, it's fair enough. I mean, considering it's Games Workshop's headquarters.
Yeah, GWPLC is on the front.
Yeah, considering it's their main place of work, I think the prices are actually very reasonable.
Yeah.
Because other places would charge way more.
I think it was pretty good.
Yeah.
It didn't. The tavern design didn't feel like it was Warhammer 40k or in your face. It was quite subtle, so it was quite nice. You could actually sit there and not kind of forget you're in.
Yeah.
The place where they design it.
It was done
and
by
build it.
It was like a pub. They
Yeah.
decked it out like a pub.
Yeah.
There was just little tweaks that made you realise it was Warhammer. Basically.
Yeah, but it didn't feel like you were in a industrial building.
Yeah, the outside is very different from the inside.
Yeah.
On the whole lot.
Yeah,
That's true.
it's weird.
Because also the other thing that when we first went into the tournament hall, where it was all being set up, I was just blown away. It's like, it's all my friends. Oh, it's so cool. Oh, there's 3 tables. Look how sweet these are. Oh my god, there's a really cool mini. Oh my god, there's an entire write-up and lore written in this book. And it wasn't until about 20 minutes in, I looked up and I went, 1 fucking minute. This is a castle.
Yes.
Because all of the walls are decked out
Inside,
3D as a castle.
It was like a castle's courtyard.
Yeah,
Yes.
it was.
Yeah.
I was my little brain just went pop.
And then outside
Yes.
the headquarters, you had the tank,
It's a rhino tank, yeah.
the Rhino, which we do have pictures of as
Yes, which we managed to track down.
well. No,
It was a real tank as well.
It was a
It's
real tank. It was a real
It's
tank.
a highly modified personnel carrier, isn't
Yep.
it?
Yeah, we did spend a little bit of time.
We were just
looking
looking
around
at.
that.
We were just looking at. At some point, I was like, "Hold on a minute,
This isn't fake.
this isn't fake. That's legit."
I wonder if they actually ever run it, or if it does run.
It
wouldn't
just comes down to what level it's been modified.
It
Yeah.
wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
It had enough space around the back to do that. So
I think at this point, I'd just be worried everything's seized.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, the seasoning's the worst bit. And then there was the giant OG Space Marine as well next to it on a big plinth. And then out the very front, there is I think it's probably from 2014-15, the Age of Sigmar Stormcast Eternal on a stand.
which we also have.
Which we also did a little video, and I just pointed towards and said, and then we moved on to getting hammered. Very, very hilarious. I was like, yes.
So funny.
So it was cool for the big stuff. There was also a massive Titus inside.
There
A
was
life-size friggin'
from
Titus.
Space-
Yeah.
from Space Marine 2.
Yeah,
Yes.
with glowing eyes.
Yes. Yeah.
That was really
That was
sweet.
done very well. Which we also have pictures of
Yes.
to be inserted.
And let's think. The other thing is, so there's kind of two stores. So the downstairs store was, I think it's a good way of saying it's third-party merchandise.
Yeah.
So there was bottle openers, trinkets,
Yeah.
keychains. There was the third-party RPG books for sale.
They had like some mini figures that not actually miniature like that size. They had
Yeah, like the toys.
action style toys.
Yeah, they had like Warhammer plushies.
Yeah.
It wasn't all third party stuff because there were some legitimate like paintings and stuff.
Yeah, there was painted stuff, but it wasn't for sale.
Yes.
So that's like the entrance to the visitor centre, and then you go up the stairway around the giant Titus.
Yep.
That's in there, and upstairs you've got
You walk into
how to get credit card debt.
Yeah.
This is the credit card debt area where you go in there and you're like, oh, they have literally everything ever in here. This is amazing.
For the people that we took there,
Yeah.
it was like an escape room.
Mm.
A very difficult escape room.
Yes.
It was also the other dangerous thing is the moment you walk in, the first set of shelves that you see are the Warhammer World exclusives
yes,
section.
yes.
And it's just like, right, okay, so you can't get any of this anywhere else. Wonderful.
Unfortunately, we turned up late enough after they just reopened Bugman's that most of it was gone.
Yes.
So they do a load of Bugman's of special stuff like dice, hip flasks,
yeah.
etc. Cufflinks.
All of it was gone.
That was all gone. But
Pocket
they
watch as well.
did still have the reprints of the original version of Rogue Trader Warhammer 40k
So he bought it.
and the 2 expansion books.
So he bought it.
And
What was that? What was
then
that?
we went into the other thing. And
Smart with money?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Yes.
that's one, yeah.
sensible.
Sensible,
that's
It's
it.
okay because I did a vote thing on my channel about would you be interested in doing a video on this, and I got 100% yes. One person voted, but still 100% yes. So there. So it was totally worthwhile.
Fair.
Yeah,
Fair. It's a good way of playing the numbers.
yeah, for sure.
100% of viewers said.
Yes.
100% of viewers said yes, they're interested. Therefore,
How many viewers? Don't worry about it.
Don't question it.
Don't worry about that. 100%. So yeah, we went the big store. The big store's interesting. So if you don't know what's in there, basically everything that's currently on GW's normal stores is in there. All of the online exclusives are in there. Those are labelled by black boxes with artwork. And there's also the stuff that they've still got the molds for, which is sometimes out of the starter boxes, but they're still using the molds until they burn out, basically. So I asked about, there was the Blood Bowl stuff, and there was a black box. I was like, well, what team is that? And it was like, oh, well, that is the previous starter box Black Orcs, which have now been modified ever so slightly in the later release. But the molds are still good, so they're still making them. I was like, excellent, cool, right, that's good to know. So they do that stuff, so if you wanted to get some Warhammer that maybe isn't in circulation anymore, and if it is, it's really expensive, you can actually go there, and there is a likelihood that they might still have it on the shelves to pick up for at least the following year.
Yeah. And the staff there are so welcoming.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Very
I think everyone that works at GW loves Warhammer,
Yes.
I think you kinda
or is
have to.
brainwashed, or both.
Yeah, swings around about.
Yeah.
I feel like you kind of have to
Yes.
kind of work there. Yeah.
So yeah, that was fun. There's a painting station like most Warhammer stores, but this is actually properly set up, and they don't just have the limited colours. You can literally ask for any colour in the range to
They
be
had
used.
an entire wall
Yes.
Yes.
full of paint tubs.
Yes, all of the Citadel paint range, the base, the layers, the contrast, the washes. It was all on there. Everything you could possibly have. None.
And they had
none out of
two
stock.
employees like helping out as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's 2
Give you
employees.
advice.
Basically, it was like a U shape, wasn't it? No,
Yes.
or was it a complete?
It was a complete U-shaped table
Yeah.
where the employees were in the middle,
Yeah.
and they could just kind of go and have a look, help you out with anything, and it was all like online queue system of book in for a slot.
Yeah.
Come in, sit down, give you a free model,
And I was very proud of everyone that did it because they did really well. And
There were some very good models.
a couple of people hadn't done it before at all. So I know that Mark hadn't, Eric hadn't. The others did though. I know that Chris has done a whole army before.
Yeah.
James has definitely done at least a couple of models.
Has he?
Yes, because I didn't paint until I went around his flat with John and painted.
Okay.
And then I started painting, and it's been downhill ever since. And as shown by the credit card debt. And the other guy, Giorgio, has done. He's been doing. What's it called? Horus Heresy. Marines for a while now as well. So he actually went and did an Age of Sigma miniature because it was a change. He did a cool like metallic with a red fleck on the shield and stuff. So
That's cool.
that was fun. But yeah, it was cool to see like as there was, at least there was two people there that had never done anything like it before, and they felt inspired enough to at least go and have a go, which is fun. It's a good hobby for painting alone, let alone the game. Because you know me, I do the painting bit. I played the video games with you guys because you like video games, or rather, I force Warhammer games onto you. And then in my spare time on my own, I actually just paint and build bits of terrain like the stuff in front of you. Which brings us to I spent so much money that I managed to get not one of the exclusive Warhammer World coins, but two. When I bought my books. And by doing so, I therefore had two Soulblight Gravelord coins. I've given one to one of the chaps that couldn't actually get in to Warhammer World on day because he was unwell. And the other one I kept for myself, and then I've recast it and used it on the front of this piece of terrain, which there'll be a video of online soon, if not already, depending on when this comes out. And this is also the helmet that I wore for the entire day.
It was so that if he got lost, we knew where he was.
Yes. So I said, oh, can I keep it? Yeah, of course you can. Yeah, excellent, cool. So I turned it into a bit of Warhammer terrain the next day when we got back.
It was pretty quick.
I
was
did
impressive.
I did I think it was an 8-hour sprint on Monday. I converted this entire helmet into a piece of terrain, recast the coin, put that on the front of it, and then all of the wooden cutlery left behind from the... Well, some of the wooden cutlery is a fuck ton of wooden cutlery. Yes. I cut up and I turned it into the structure on the helmet as well. So, this brings us to... Why did I do this so quickly was because going around the Warhammer World exhibit was utterly inspiring and amazing.
The exhibition.
The exhibition was so... There's so much detail in every little bit of that exhibition. You can tell they have some absolute wonderful people working for them in their art department, painting all of these tiny little guys to so much...
detail.
Detail and fidelity. And then on top of that, then there's someone clearly sculpting and making these huge scenes. Many of which, well, all of which you see in the Warhammer magazine called White Dwarf and have done since it was first born. All of the photographs are done on those sets, and the miniatures in there, other than the they're like a corner of guest special stuff, where it's basically people that brought them in to go on display. They were all the miniatures seen on the box art and seen inside that magazine. And if you look really closely on some of the new ones, you can actually see layer lines still from some of the 3D printing from their prototyping process. So yeah, that was really cool and a really interesting thing to go around and see. Like when you see the pictures, you don't realise the scale.
The scale of some of these sets were crazy.
Yeah. And some of them were like 360, so you could see in between, underneath, and
the thing is, it wasn't like the kind of the player hall or the player tables where it was just all one layer. No, this was like 4, 5, 6 different layers sometimes, where it'll be like the top half will be part of the castle, and then you've got like some of the dungeons underneath. And you could walk all around them. It was so cool.
And then there was the gigantic Imperium Citadel area, Oh, the door is about to slam outside. No, it's not. I'm watching it fly backwards and forwards.
Yeah.
There was the massive system, which I think, if I look in the brochure, I think it was level 4? No, 3.
It was 3.
Number 3 is the one where you walk around. And yeah, that one was just, damn, that was 2 and a bit stories tall.
Yep.
And it was like, yeah, okay, some of that is definitely GW kits, but a lot of that, someone has sculpted by hand, because I've never seen that released as a kit.
No, definitely
There
not.
was these giant, like, archways. There was the fact that you maybe they've done the odd pillar on, like, a kit, but they haven't done the entire structure.
No.
And apparently there was an assassin in there somewhere, but I think there was a guy in there, like, with a little, like, what's it called?
Telescope.
A telescope, looking in each individual nook and cranny, trying to find it. And I was just like, you, good luck, mate, because I definitely am not going to stand there long enough.
It was just an entire set of, like, definitely hundreds. Would you say thousands?
Thousands.
I'll say
Definitely.
thousands.
Definitely, because they had that. They have like towers that were you could.
Your
sit
towers,
inside.
which had hundreds on them. Yeah.
I mean, what was
We had the
impressive
battlefield
was
as
some
well.
of them were, like some of the larger models were broken, so they had to. So I mean, through battle damage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they had to sculpt all the it basically being exploded.
Yes.
Yeah.
All the damage, everything. It's what you would expect when you think of like. I know the game has an apocalyptic mode. This is what I would have expected.
Yes.
But it's massive. It's huge.
And there's a really cool bit where they had like all these blood letters that were like clearly making like a pyramid on their own to try and crawl up the edge. And that kind of detail, and they're all little individually sculpted around each other so that they can actually look like they're doing that thing and not just statically posed.
It was this wasn't the big one, the 2.5 story one. It was this was the Tyrannid, like exhibit that they'd done, which was big cityscape, kind of very similar to Space Marine 2.
Yeah.
But you had like the Tyranids, you kind of climbing on like top of each other.
Yes.
To kind of like climb over their their dead brothers and sisters to get to the Space Marines. That was super cool, super detailed. But
And there was a
within that-
Carnifex on there as well, which was massive, the big one.
Oh yeah. That was crazy. Never seen that before.
So it's like I think that's the most Forge World stuff I've ever seen. Was clearly in the exhibit of
Yeah.
Warhammer World.
But one thing I did notice was the explosions that they'd
Oh,
that
that
they'd
was very
done
good.
because they even had like some of the knights kind of shooting projectiles, but they'd actually gone through and like done the smoke trail
Yes.
from them, as well as the explosions, and those looked really really cool.
Yeah,
And
those were cool.
I know you spotted them immediately. You were like, "What's that?
Yeah.
How have they done that?"
It's like an evolution of what you do in some wargaming. So I know that some people. I watch one guy called Peachy Tips, and during his walkthroughs and his battle reports, he puts a little bit of cotton on the muskets to show that they have fired and they don't have ammo.
Right.
And it seems like that is an old way of doing it, and it seems to evolve through time and become like this cool cinematic thing. Because I also saw when I went to a model exhibit a few years back, there was someone, I think it was a downed chopper or something, and they had an explosion, but they'd put these candle LEDs inside, and then also painted in layers of the explosion.
Oh.
So you get all those layers
It looked like a little
of the
fire.
explosion.
Okay.
So that was pretty
That's
cool.
cool. That's
yeah,
very
it's, the cotton wool thing is quite common. I also put the Easter sheep toys from Poundland we used as the smoke coming out of the exhaust of my orc models on my
Nice.
challenge video.
Nice.
So yeah, the smoke thing is a really cool thing. I just I haven't seen it like being done with the missile where they must have put something like some
Like a-
sort of
like a
metal
bit of-
rod
it's
inside.
like
It looked
either-
like some foam that they just sprayed out because it looked dense. It didn't look like.
But it must have been around something. It must
Yeah,
have been
it
like
had to
around
be,
either a really tense bit of wire or string.
It wouldn't surprise me because it was behind glass. It wouldn't surprise me if they had like some fishing wire, the really thin.
They did actually have some
Yeah.
for some of the flying models.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Did you see that? Yeah. Where they actually had like,
They had to put some structure in because some of the models were big.
I mean, yeah, they were huge.
Yeah.
So it only made sense that you added more vertically.
And it's amazing what taking the bases off does.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was something I did not expect. Like, it made it look so much better.
Yeah.
Like, it's just ridiculous. Actually, if anything, it just shows how difficult it is to try and model all of that without the basing.
Yeah.
And get them to, obviously stand.
Yeah,
But
there are particular people that actually paint like that. So what you do is you take the miniature, you drill the holes, 2 holes in the feet, you stick in some wires, and then you can buy or you can drink wine and you can put them into cork, or you can get these like hand-sized ones with cork which you shove them in.
Right.
And some people do that with the whole model, but you can also do it where you do it in a form called sub-assembly. So you have the arms, the legs, the body, the face, because that way you can get into all of the like behind the neck details and under the arms.
Kind of get all the shadowing.
Yeah, exactly. Because otherwise, what you find half the time when you're doing like I do, where it's like the model is built first, is you basically go, I really hope that wash goes in that crack because I can't get my paintbrush in there.
Right.
Or I really hope someone doesn't lift it up and then shine a torch into the cloak, because I don't know if I've got paint all the way to the top. So yeah, it's a different way of doing it. But when it comes to the other thing is when it comes to wargaming stuff, so something that a lot of people do, which is what I've copied, is you either do 2 things. You do models and then a clear base, so you can see the terrain through it. It's a little bit glossy, doesn't look great. So what I went with was, okay, if I'm going to do basing, all of my terrain has to match the bases.
Yeah.
So that's why all of my muddy 40k/Trench Crusade stuff is this dark brown mud.
Yeah.
And if you look at all my Space Marines, they've got the same.
Yeah.
But yeah, seeing it without the bases, I wish there was a way of doing that on the game, because that would be
It would
really
be nice,
cool.
wouldn't it? Yeah.
But you would lose all of the mechanic with, there's a lot of stuff with proper 40k with your base rims, and they have to be touching for certain things.
Yep.
You have to make sure that...
It's like if you can see the base, you can see...
Yeah, if you can see the base, you can see the character. There's also the fact there's basing to advantage and basing to disadvantage, where you use a base that's smaller than you're meant to and larger than you're meant to, which is kind of illegal, and they won't let you do tournaments or anything with it.
Nice.
I've definitely managed to do most of my army as to disadvantage. So also, if I ever play a game like I did with John, you get completely annihilated all the way through, because I like doing these big scenic bases that look really beautiful and really gorgeous, and then you go, why is there a fucking tank on that base? And you're like, oh, they look cool.
This is why you don't play the game.
Yeah.
Do you do more than painting?
I do display miniatures more than anything else.
Which is what they had a lot of there.
Yes.
Yeah.
I never knew that they had... I know they had those big giant... What are they called? The big giant walkers, yeah.
Oh, the Knights, the Imperial
There's
Knights.
the
And then they
Knights.
also had the small...
Titans.
They had the Titans, but then they had the same Titans.
The
but
Chaos Knights.
Oh, you
It's
mean the...
The 2 different scales.
epic scale
Yeah.
stuff.
Oh, yes.
Yes. That it's weird, because that, I think, went away a few years back, and then they've just brought it back
Oh,
recently.
right, okay, so it is still a thing.
Yeah, because a lot of people play epic still.
Really?
Is epic in terms of, like, is that just the points? It's just more...
No, it's epic because it's an epic scale.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Now, there are the very unique people that play an epic game using Warhammer 40k size, and they have a table as big as this property 4 times.
Jesus.
And they stand on the board and they move the
everything.
units.
Good lord.
Do they have them on, like, bases like they can on those miniatures, where you just move...
Yeah,
herds
they
of-
normally do like units, like these ones. So
Yes,
this is
Do they
a
do-
Warhammer Fantasy unit.
Right.
On a
you
base.
Move as...
That's what we were talking about when we were there.
Yeah,
I
because
saw
it's a
that.
different play style.
Yeah.
This is a lot more similar to a historical war game, which is why this version of Warhammer, I guess, was the first one, because originally there was historical wargaming. Then D&D happened, and then the guys that were distributing D&D went, 1 second, I have an idea.
Yeah.
And they made this. This is the 5th edition as well, so this is actually a really old one. This is early 90s style. So it's one of the earlier versions. Warhammer Fantasy actually died. They killed it to bring out Age of Sigmar, which is, if you ever play the game Vermintide, it's the end time. So it's just before this world blows up. And then the Age of Sigmar is like all the shatters of that universe coming together in a point.
Right.
Anyway, I diverge. So yes, the Warhammer unit movement thing at the time was based on historical wargaming, which is why it's on a unit tray like that. And quite often you'll see people using unit trays when playing, I think, Old World, which is this Reborn. In 40k, they kind of went away from that because in the Rogue Trader version, which is the first edition, it was more of an RPG story style, a bit closer to D&D again. Mm-hmm. And because of that, it seems that the rules never at any point seem to have unit trays, from my memory. There, you can buy unit trays, because most of them do move together, and they have to. It is part of the rules.
Yeah.
But it's not really, I wouldn't say it's common practice. It wasn't common practice from what we saw around us at the tournament. The 40k stuff seemed to all be moved separately,
Yeah.
whilst the fantasy stuff near us moved in a similar way to Epic on a movement tray. So that's like the evolution of how I think it must have happened over time. I do have some movement trays for 40k, which I bought when I first started the hobby, just because I wanted a little base to store them all on, because I did one unit as a test thing, and then I could put them up on the shelf.
I see.
But these guys, the only way you play the fantasy game easily really is with a unit tray, because they all move as a block.
As a block, okay.
It's not like you don't have many. I don't even have any in the old version like hero characters that move individually. It seems to be a horde based mechanic. So these guys have a unit tray as well. That was really interesting that you noted the different styles of stuff as you were there.
Well, it kind of made sense because if you saw all the big like exhibits that they had with kind of the Space Marines and the tanks, they were all to normal, the scale that we're used to.
Yeah.
And then the moment you had an exhibit that was just primarily knights kind of in a cityscape, because they're so massive in Warhammer scale.
Yeah.
If you're genuinely playing with just a bunch of knights, it kind of makes sense for you to
to shrink the scale down.
Play in epic scale, because
Yeah.
otherwise you will be running out of space and you just have these models that are like yay big.
And you can
Yeah.
tell why people would have to have a hall
Oh yeah.
to play them.
Although, so I'm assuming it's gonna be very rare that people actually play like any of the Titan knights.
We sucked him.
If you take a Titan, I think you just play the Titan half the time, right?
But I imagine it is also quite a rare one because I didn't see.
What did we see? That was it. The night.
Yeah.
There are people that just run knights
There
as an
were
army.
there were a bunch of Titan knights, but it's just like
You need to get this. It's not Titan knights.
Titans.
There's knights.
Titans.
There's knights, and
And
this
then-
big one is Titan.
They are knights, is what John said.
It's similar but different.
Ah.
I remember the Emperor Titan, which is a fucking cathedral.
Yes,
So
those
basically,
are cool.
you know that
Those are
big
cool.
room that we were in with the big cathedral. Underneath that would be the Titan, with the big cathedral bit in the middle.
Okay, yeah.
It would literally that would be a bit of the Titan's top.
So
Underneath it would just be a
all
Titan.
the big ones that we were seeing in the exhibition room were
Those are baby Titans.
Those are big.
So
Little
in
Titans.
the
Okay.
world of Warhammer, there are
There are bigger ones.
So the models that we saw that you could buy,
Yes.
What are they?
are they to this
Are they
correct
baby
scale?
Titans?
The Titans that were like
Yes.
Yeah.
small-
Are they baby Titans?
slightly shorter than Amy. Yeah, those were the baby Titans.
Baby Titans. Okay, right.
They're not called baby Titans. I call them baby Titans because there is a very big
Well,
Titan.
so
And the
what
big
are they?
Titans-
Are they Titans?
They're called
Actually-
Titans.
Okay, so
there's
they are
Titans,
Titans.
and then there's Emperor class Titan, which is the bigger one.
Is that the one with the cathedral on the
Yes.
top?
Yeah. Okay. So what? In terms of battlefield, you got tanks, you've got dreadnoughts.
Yeah.
What's between a dreadnought and a?
Well, I'd say.
I suppose knight.
well, you've
half
got
a dreadnought,
you've got
right?
big power armor lifter things, so kind of like dreadnoughts. Then you've got tanks. Then you got tanks and dreadnoughts are kind of similar size.
Yeah.
Maybe tanks are bigger. Some of the bigger tanks, there's bigger tanks like Bane
Yes.
Blades.
We saw some.
Those are big. Those are bigger again. And then there's the knight.
Yeah.
And then there's, I guess you would skip to either something like a Thunderhawk, and then
And then Titan.
Titan.
and then
Jesus.
with size of model.
And
When
then
it comes to cost, you probably want to say that the Titan's the most expensive one. Because as I don't know if I was telling you guys while I was going around, so I was like, oh, they've got Titan here. Yeah, the base model, that'll be like 1.5K. And if you run those weapons that it comes with, nah. You are going to get screwed. So you then have to spend an extra X amount of money to buy the right weapons.
It was,
And this is why 3D printing exists nowadays.
It would be great to paint one of them.
yes.
But I don't have anywhere to put it.
No.
2,
What the fuck do you do with that after?
yeah, I think the cost, it's just
You have
ridiculous.
to put it in like every trip you go on. You sit it down in the seat like a
Yeah.
child
Yes,
in a
you
booster
would.
seat.
Yeah.
Bring it along.
I mean, it's nobody was playing Titans. I saw plenty of people playing Knights.
Yes.
Even then, quite rare.
Yeah.
But there were
Just that one had
it
one or
was
two.
one or two. You know, there would be like a couple Knights walking around like in some of the tournaments. But the Titans I only saw in the exhibition, and there was one really cool one. Because quite a lot of them were just kind of in cabinets. But there's one that was actually in part of an exhibit, was part of a stronghold that had been taken over by Chaos. And I think...
Oh, there was 2, wasn't there?
And there were
walking out?
2 Chaos Titans walking
Yeah.
out. So cool.
They were cool. Yeah.
And I don't know, I couldn't tell if they were like Games Workshop molded or
they are. Those
normal
ones.
Titan Games Workshop made and then somebody's chaosified it.
I went and hunted them down in the Forge World section
Oh, did you?
afterwards. Yeah, they are for sale. They are nice. But the thing I don't get it, see. So yes, it's a beautiful model, and if you're that passionate, you probably would spend that amount of money.
Yep.
But it's a resin kit, so any small knock, something's gonna snap or ding.
Yeah.
Like
if
what
it was
happened to my model.
Yeah, if it was a plastic kit, I think I'd get it a bit more because it's a bit more robust. It's big enough you're going to be clumsy with it and drop it at some point, right?
The bigger
Or just
ones, the bigger Titans, I'm surprised they're not normal plastic. To be
Yeah, no,
honest.
they're all resins because they're such low quantity.
Yeah, I
It's,
suppose,
it seems such a shame because I'd love to have a plastic one, and to be honest, you could probably find the files online and STL print one
yeah.
using the FDM. But then you couldn't play them anywhere like that. It sucks.
But it's a case of would you play it?
I don't know.
Because
I
it's
don't know.
such a huge model.
What has happened this month actually? Everyone that pre-ordered, you know the. Have you heard of the? I don't know. This is an appropriate name. Joy Toy. Okay. There's a company called Joy Toy that don't sell what you're thinking of. They
What
sell.
are you thinking we're thinking of?
I
I don't wanna search it up online.
They sell Warhammer like models of like various factions, like big scale, like 12-inch toy style.
Okay.
This month, all the pre-orders of the knights in that scale have been sent out, and they're the same height as a Titan,
What?
but they're made of plastic.
What?
So I really wish that you could just buy that because that was 260.
Do I really want to type in Warhammer Joy Toy?
Yeah.
Okay.
See?
Okay.
They do incredibly detailed pre-painted stuff. It's really nice. Actually.
Wait, this is all pre-painted.
Yeah, it all comes
Yeah.
pre-painted.
Damn.
So yeah, I really wish that I couldn't find the knight actually for sale. I think I can only find the pre-order pages for it.
The Imperial Knight is painted really well.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Imagine, but if that was for sale, I probably would have maybe bought one of those and then converted it into a Titan because it's plastic.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
not only that, because it's got all of the articulation, it's not stuck in one pose as
You
well,
can actually
which is
you
nice.
can actually pose it. Yeah.
So it wouldn't involve cutting stuff and re-angling it and everything. You could probably position it in one thing. Maybe if you wanted to put a base on it, you could. Freaking massive. And then you could just glue everything in the position you wanted. But I thought that was a really nice thing. I didn't realise they were doing them until I saw someone doing a video on it, and I was like, whoa, that's cool. There's funny enough, the same guy, Midwinter Minis, who also managed to go to a salvage yard and buy a full-size Space Marine and then paint it.
Oh yes, I remember you telling us.
I think it was for what was it called? It was one of the top-down games like Command and Conquer. It was one of the Warhammer ones. It's like Age of Empires style thing. But yeah, they had these I think at the time, full-size standard Space Marines, not Primaris, models that were distributed around loads of different GameStops and stuff to advertise the game. They didn't go half-assed and do a cardboard cutout. No, they went for full friggin' models.
That doesn't surprise me. With what they're like there.
I just wish I could find one for myself because I'd love one of those. I don't know where I put it. Probably in the garden. Oh, I could decorate it like a gnome because we know we like
pretty
gnomes.
cool.
That'd be fun.
Pretty cool. There's like, well, what have you got guarding your garden?
Well, here's my full-size Space Marine. And you probably need like nearly a crane to move the bloody thing, so you wouldn't get nicked.
That's true. At least you'd notice that if somebody was trying.
Oh, here's news actually based on garden stuff. I've been told I'm allowed to make a new police box. So
did you get that in writing?
I did not, but she did say it with witnesses.
Okay.
So there we go. So new police box might be occurring in the back garden at some point.
That's fun.
That man has a gigantic penis.
This is Luke's statement for anybody who has a loud exhaust.
Very
who
loud.
drives past.
They come past my house and keep me awake early in the morning. I'm not very happy.
He's a grumpy old man.
I am a grumpy old man.
I think what was also good. It's back on topic. The other player. As you went through the different rooms, halls, whatever they wanted to call them, they didn't just stick to 40k.
No.
They had other whatever else they make. They had some Age of Sigmar. I noticed they had some Lord of the Rings things.
They did have Lord of the Rings stuff.
It's so beautiful, all those models.
And then you had the Blood Bowl stuff as well.
Yes.
It's like the NFL sports stuff.
Back on the garden, I think I know which team I'm doing. I'm going to do gnomes.
Nice.
Because there's a gnome that I need to repaint.
Oh dear. I thought you were doing that in your chapter colours.
No, I think what I'll do is I'll buy the Blood Bowl team of gnomes, paint them, and then paint the gnome at the end of the video. This gnome is like 4 foot tall, which is a family heirloom since my great grandfather. But it needs painting because it's all fallen off now, and I've been trying to work out how I'm going to paint it, and actually dedicate time to it. And because I now do videos, I don't get time to do other stuff. But if I turn it into a video somehow, and that is a really weird link, I could do it like a Blood Bowl team. Because Jonas has done the Blood Bowl as Tony the Tiger team, which is really cool when there's orcs. But all of the Blood Bowl stuff, that was the first time I'd seen all the models out. So only then did I know there was gnomes, and I was like, aha!
I think it's impressive that they've not just stuck to 40k, because that is a cash cow for them.
Yes.
But they've expanded to quite a lot of different figures.
Yeah.
Figurines, should I say.
I think it's just... It's garnered enough support, right? Because I'm assuming they trial it out for a certain period of time, and if it sells, it sells. If it doesn't, they'll phase it out. Right?
Literally just do a box game out of the blue, and no one knows about it till then. There was the one that I don't know how to point out to you guys. There was I can't remember what it was called, but it was a box game that was released around 2021. And they said, right, pre-order only. That's it. You could order one box per person.
Oh Jesus!
And it's like so they used to do games called Warhammer Fantasy. What was it? Warhammer Fantasy Heroes, or like Hero Quest things. So you basically it's a predetermined script. You go through the story with your miniatures, battle demons on the way, and there's a storyline that you follow. I've got one of them called Silver Tower, which is another old one. But Curse City, that's what it's called. They said, "Oh, this is the only time we're ever going to release it," and everyone went, "What? No!" And everybody bought it, and then not enough people could buy it because everyone went out of stock. And they really got a lot of hate for that. So much so that they've now released it as a standard game.
That's funny. That's funny.
But there's loads of random games they did. So they did one called I can't remember Gorka Morka or something, where it was bikes and trucks for orcs. It was like a Mad Maxi game. The company had to release it in a really quick deadline because they were genuinely going under at the time. So there's a couple of guys that worked on it basically, and they revived the company and saved it on it.
That's
And that was the only time it was ever released. They just stopped to that point because they went, oh, we're back in business, and then carried on doing 40k
Nice.
and other stuff. And I think they must have changed the way they approached their advertising, and they bought video games, made more money other ways. So they didn't have to think about it again.
I mean, let's be honest. Like if you were to follow them as a company, they have diversified their sources of income.
Mm,
It's
very much
one from models, two from what's it called, books. I suppose money's still being made from like the tournaments and things like that because they do garner a lot of viewership.
They make a lot of money on their plastic.
Yes, a lot of money in the plastic, and then the video games.
But I mean, they've diversified in terms of their plastic.
Yes.
They've not just stuck, like we said.
Yes,
They've
yeah,
not
yeah.
just stuck to one
No.
40k or 30k at one time.
The death of the old world making Age of Sigma, and then seeing how many people complained about it, has made them in fact release both of the games at once again. They've now got Warhammer Old World, which is basically its old game, which they've had to do very little as far as the rule set's concerned. They have released newer models, but a lot of them are the old models that they've just redone, and the new moldings. But they've also now got the cash cow of Age of Sigma,
Yeah.
which is it's an interesting one. Age of Sigma. So if you ever want to learn a Warhammer battle game, Age of Sigma is the easy one. Then it goes 40k, then fantasy.
Okay.
That's like the tier list of difficulty, I would say. I don't know where Horus Heresy sits. That's probably worse than fantasy because it includes like blast radius counters and all sorts of random stuff.
It's interesting because, like, from a lore perspective, I completely understand why people like the Horus Heresy age, because it's known lore,
Yeah.
and there are some there's quite a lot that's happened in that period of time that's well documented, and it is just quite interesting.
And the aesthetics are cooler.
And the aesthetics.
They've got the American muscle car style aesthetics, whilst 40k now seems to have the Tesla aesthetics.
Yeah.
With the way the helmets and all of the armor's looking.
Well, it's because it was the older stuff. It was very like knights-esque.
Yes.
You know, it was very medieval-esque. But now it's I get what you mean. It's changed.
It's like the classic car and then the modern car, basically, for the same thing.
But now we get to see how they diversify with their
That's Amazon show, isn't it?
TV series, I suppose.
Yeah, there is Warhammer Plus.
Yes.
It's
I remember you saying
I've subscribed to it this second year it was launched, and I watched everything on Warhammer Plus in a week. Because I don't watch painting videos because I make painting videos and I know how to paint. So the stuff that they put onto those tends to be like you're just starting out videos.
Right.
So it's not stuff that would interest me. I watch other guys on YouTube that are literal artists that can make the most beautiful things out of a miniature. There's that, and then there's also battle reports. I don't really watch battle reports. I find it quite boring. The only ones I have enjoyed, in fact, are the ones that Peachy Tips does, because he does like he has voice actors that come in. He does little special effects, and it's like it's not real time rolling dice. He cuts all that out and just says the story,
Right.
which is nice. It's like watching an episode of Sharp because it's based on the Napoleonic TV series called Sharp.
Right.
He's got the main character. He's got himself as little character, but he uses a rule set called Silver Bayonet, which is Napoleonic horror. So it's basically zombies and demons against Napoleonic soldiers. It's quite fun.
Zombies and demons. Okay.
It looks
I'm
really
Interesting.
Yeah.
It looks like one of those.
The undead and demons.
You know what I think it is. I think it's one of those guilty pleasure games where people go, I don't really want to say that I'm a historical wargamer because those guys are a bit interesting, a bit neurospicy. But those really bright coloured miniatures look really fun to paint. Maybe I could do Silver Bayonet. I think that's how it works. Okay. And also, if you have already got like zombies and stuff from playing Warhammer, you could just literally bring the models across and play with them.
That's fair. That's fair.
So yeah, that's really interesting. But yeah, when it comes to Warhammer Plus, you don't really have massive content. There's no like loads. It's not like playing for Netflix. We get loads of TV shows to watch binge over and over again. If you just into that,
I'm assuming it's quite limited.
When I had it, there was I think 4 animated series, which were about 3 to 4 episodes each, and they weren't very long. There is more now, and I think maybe in a couple of years I might subscribe for 1 year just to catch up.
There might be more, especially if the Amazon series / movie
You just
pays
need
off.
to put it on Amazon.
Yeah.
Just sign a deal with Amazon and just get it all on there.
Everybody wants a streaming
I
service.
don't get it.
This is true. I mean,
They
it's,
even nicknamed the Plus.
we're ending up with so many streaming services. We've just recreated TV channels
I know.
that you
Yeah,
have to pay for.
it's gone back to America.
I'm
It's
now
going
paying-
to American
Yeah.
cable TV.
I'm now paying for a TV license solely so I'm allowed to watch Doctor Who and various weddings and funerals from the royal family, which seem to have happened in the last few years. I got my money's worth that 1 year because I watched it more than twice. What? But the fact of the matter is, I'm now paying for a TV license and paying for streaming services. So, what?
But don't forget, though, if you've got Amazon, you have to pay if you don't want ads.
Yeah, you
Got
also
paid for
have to
it.
pay on top of the payment now.
Yeah.
Which is actually outrageous.
And watching YouTube, I'm very sorry for the amount of adverts you probably experienced by this point in the video, but it's not our fault. We're not getting any money for that. That just happens on every video now. So
Yeah, I was going to say,
YouTube is
we're not
horrible.
monetized.
Yes.
we are
We're
not
we are not
monetized,
monetized.
but you will probably see adverts still
Yeah.
because YouTube has gotten so bad.
Yeah.
Actually, I'll tell you the one that is the same as it used to be. If you watch things on the ITV app, you get less adverts than you used to watching ITV. Because I've been catching up with since watching the Silver Bear, I also might have started watching Napoleonic films. So I've been watching Sharp, which is incredibly corny with Sean Bean. But what a man! I'm sorry. He is a brilliant actor. Why does he have to die in everything normally?
Because he's so good at it.
He's so good at the
We've
death scene.
properly gone off the rails.
Anyway.
So off the rails.
Yes, I've successfully derailed.
All of this
the
onto
funniest
Sean
thing is-
Bean.
We have tried so hard to
The
keep
funniest
this-
thing, I've derailed
Jesus.
one of my favourite subjects from not talking about that subject.
I know, it's impressive. It's actually impressive.
But yeah, there's less adverts on there. So yeah. Anyway, back to our onions, as Gary Rose used to say.
As we were walking round,
As we were walking,
we were saying that they should do more in terms of online games. Like, actually, like what we were doing there, where you could create a character or something for some people who don't want to spend the time painting but want to do the playing.
Because painting is it's
an art.
It's an art. It's an art, which it's a skill that not many people have
Yeah.
access to.
Sorry, guys. There is an unofficial thing called what's it? Online tabletop or tabletop RPG where you can download.
Yeah, I've heard.
Where people
they
have made unofficial 40k
Oh,
expansions for
okay.
it, so you can play it.
I think
Warhammer
should definitely
GW should do that.
do that.
Because if you gave everyone the option to individually paint their miniatures in a similar way to the Space Marine 2 customization screen, so you could have like a rainbow fleet of Marines if you wanted, but you can select each individual character, you can change all of them. You can get a low skill repainting thing, so people who like to paint would enjoy it. You can also have preload certain factions onto your miniatures. They just need to design it once. How hard is it going to be to give a Space Marine black armor and red eyes instead of something else?
Well, you could have different sections where you can change the colour of eyes, change the colour
Maybe
of
they
symbols.
They could do a whole thing where maybe if you've got a tablet, you can actually draw on it as well.
Yes.
You could do freehand though if you want. You could do a whole level of stuff on just the customization. But then if they had the online tabletop app basically built into it, where you can play 40k, and maybe it has like a introduction guide. Maybe you have like a games master that says, now you roll for this thing, and maybe it would show what these things and highlight them as you go.
We'll take a small percentage games workshop.
Yeah,
if you want
but
this.
then, well, what GW could do is they could then infiltrate the online gaming market, and also educate people how to play the game. Which means they'd have a two-pronged approach, and they'd get people buying the game online, and then maybe buying the miniatures and having to go to the real game.
in the
Well,
future.
some people will probably buy miniatures to paint in what they've designed in the
Exactly.
game and put it in their computers.
Or even, mind blown here, the ones that they design, they can click the send to
button.
GW print button
Yeah.
and 3D print them with colour.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I think you're asking a bit too much.
I know
there.
that last step. I know GW are very against 3D printing, other than their prototyping at the moment. But that would be like the cherry on top. And if you just extortionately price them so that it covers the amount of cost it would be for people to buy the paints to paint them, so it's a lot more expensive than buying a normal miniature.
True.
You could still make that money back. And I'm pretty certain there are people with well-paid jobs that don't have time to paint miniatures that would do it.
I just want, yeah.
They have maybe one weekend in the summer. They want to play their army, but they don't have time to paint them. They've got a plastic grey sea of miniatures, and they just want them done. There's a lot of people that just hire artists to paint entire armies for them.
Oh yeah.
Which it's a brilliant way to do, and I completely support like real genuine artists, but not everyone can afford that amount of money. So maybe if having a cheaper option,
if it was like just for one character that you've designed in your game.
Exactly.
Well, no, I mean, to be honest, even if it was an entire army, like genuinely, I was walking around Games Workshop, and it's like you've got an entire army of whichever, let's say like the Dark Angels. You just got them there. I'm just like, can I just buy like just a small squadron of that?
Yeah.
Like just like the like one let's say the Primarch and just a certain number of Dark Angel.
That would be a cool thing for specifically Warhammer World.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
if you had like
make the Destiny exclusive, but like feel free to add on Warhammer World tax on it. I think that's perfectly acceptable.
kind of hear me out, Games Workshop, but I've heard that like the painters aren't paid the best, but if you let them put in a squadron into the store at a higher price, you could use that maybe as a small bonus for them if they sell it.
Yeah, that's true.
Or something.
Yeah,
Even if it's not the whole extra price on top.
Incentivize.
You'd have probably got some of us who went there like would want to play it, but just don't have the time or space.
Yeah,
to
sure.
do it.
I mean, like if we were to do like more hero games, kind of like we did, or smaller games where it's like a hero and a small squadron of Marines, but it's still like us amongst 5 squadrons, playing against a horde of enemies.
Yes.
I'd 100% be down
for sure
to buy like a little squadron, but I know I'm not going to have the time nor the skill to like paint it to how I want it. So if I spot one that I really like, I'll be like, yeah, go on then. I'll just buy one Primarch and just a few. And I don't know. It seems like a no-brainer to me.
I was surprised that they didn't have something where there's a few pre-painted models that you can pick one up. Maybe they're limited one per customer or something.
To be honest, I'm surprised you couldn't buy a fully painted Titan. I feel like.
I mean, they're so rare. Yeah, why not?
Yeah, why not? Right? Like considering you're already gonna pay what £1,500 for just the base grey one.
Yeah.
Fuck it, make it $3,000. I'm willing to bet.
Yeah, someone would
you'd
pay
probably get a couple people a year just being like, yeah, go on then. I'll buy.
And just make sure it's just pick up only.
Yeah.
Because then it's your fault if you drop it, mate. I'm sorry.
Yeah. like say you'll put it in like some kind of case, and that's it.
They've got the artists there. They are all absolutely so skilled,
super talented.
They're incredibly
some of the
talented.
stuff we saw there.
Oh, it's insane.
And actually, fair play. GW have released a large bonus to everybody this year as well. So they actually have rewarded people. Yeah. I think there was definitely a rut, and a lot of people that are on YouTube and online talking about it were in that rut. I think it's coming out of that rut now, and it seems to be a better company to be working for.
It's made so much money. I think it was like turnover. I don't think profit, but turnover.
And
was
they are
like
a small company still, right?
Yeah, they are small.
They're really small.
About
company.
$500 million, I think it was. 500 million, and I think the total bonus scheme was about 100 million. I could be completely wrong there. I haven't fact-checked myself.
Normally he knows the figures off the top of his head with stuff like this, so I'm actually disappointed.
I'd be really interested.
I think it was 150 million from what I remember, but I can't remember if that was pure profit or is what they're giving to as a bonus.
They did a crazy amount of profit last year.
I'd be interested to know how much of that is as a result of
Space Marine 2.
Titus, I'd say.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think people have played Space Marine 1, they're now playing Space Marine 2, and I think everyone, and people who've gone and seen the episode on, what's it called? Yes, on Prime. I think because all of that's following Titus, I think people are they're following a character,
Yes.
and it's kind of incentivizing them to follow them. So
And they did do a miniature for him as well.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
I
you know,
want that so
and
much.
he's, you know, they got the massive to scale
Yes.
Titus, you know, out on the front. Like evidently, he's currently their current cash cow.
Yes, definitely.
So, I think it's good. It's there. They're looking into video games. It's evidently paying dividends, and I think we're starting to hear rumors of Space Marine 3 being given the go
Yeah.
ahead, which I think is great.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, so
I think they.
I have numbers.
Numbers.
20. Because they're such a small company, it was 20 million in bonuses they gave. Their sales was 560 million
Jesus.
pounds, so £500 million, and in terms of pre-tax profit, it was 255 million. So they've done.
How many employees do they have?
I can't.
I can't imagine it's that much.
No, it must be in the thousands still, right? Like low thousands.
Low.
Like single digit thousands, right?
Has to
Surely.
be.
There wasn't
Because that's a
lot of scores.
tiny. So the PLC on that to the UK side is very small building. A lot smaller than what we're used to in a company at about 15,000.
Yeah.
So
In Nottingham, their base, about 1,500 employees, 1,500.
yeah, so it's really
And worldwide, 2,950.
Yeah, so
Wow,
it's
that's
ju-
below $5,000.
that
Before 5,000. That's insane.
yeah, that's just like the shop staff when it goes to worldwide. Jordan, have you seen the videos of the Japanese version of
Oh,
Warhammer
wow.
World?
It-
Yes.
There's like their store
Yes.
that you can't film in.
So
But
cool.
one guy got in there for an official video. Oh, that looks cool. It looks like a really scaled down version of Warhammer World.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, they've definitely given. Reportedly, last year it was £2,500 bonus. So they've
Firstly, well done for Games Workshop for actually recognising your staff and sending that out, because
Yeah.
hats off to you. And
Most people
thirdly,
don't do that.
you artists, designers, writers, all bloody deserve it, because you've done a fantastic job over the last however many years putting this all together.
the story and everything. It's just been
And
fantastic.
every single one of us around this table appreciates at least one of those things the most. And yeah,
Yeah.
tip my hat at you, sir.
Like, the models that we saw were just
Yeah.
fantastic.
They're
Brilliant.
amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And I think on that very cheery
Cheery
note,
note,
we can
yes.
call that an adieu for today.
I agree.
Thank you everybody for coming by and listening to us rant about how much Warhammer is awesome and that I love Warhammer World and I want to go back every single year.
Bit of a different episode.
Yeah.
We'll grant you that. That
Yes.
wasn't the usual. Let's educate you on this. This was more of a.
Well, unless you haven't been to Warhammer World.
Oh,
then we
yeah,
told you
yeah.
exactly what's there and you should go if
Yes.
you enjoy Warhammer.
It's in Nottingham.
It is in Nottingham, so you can stay like we did in Sherwood Forest. And the places that we stayed actually had loads of set pieces from I keep want to say Sea of Thieves over time.
No. Robin Hood.
Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Yes.
Which is a brilliant 1991 adaptation, and they had like the trebuchets there and
Yep.
all sorts. It was,
Yeah.
these guys didn't even know I liked that film. And
No,
it's a very
no,
very
it-
good
It
bit
was,
of
it was,
serendipity
it was
there.
just an ideal place.
Yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. So, yeah, lovely area, very nice. From what I remember from last time I was there, a good night out, as long as you're not throwing up down the toilets of all of the bars like I was. And on that note,
On that cheery note,
good night.
Good night.
See you
you
soon, guys.
later.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow. Bye.
Bye.
Peace.